50 States of Terror may include content unsuitable for young audiences. Listener discretion is advised. Content warnings will be included in the show notes. This is the U.S. Virgin Islands. Hello, world, your favorite podcast host about cryptids. And, we venture into aliens, conspiracies, paranormal. Anthony here. How are all of you today? I haven't asked how you were doing in a while. Things are going. Yep, things are just going. Update on the job situation. I am officially doing creative stuff until I can find a new job. But I have some pretty exciting news. So with the whole job uncertainty thing going on right now, and with the news of offices shutting down and mass layoffs, I applied to grad school. And I got in. I am going back to school. I am much older than I would like to be going back to school, but I think it is now necessary to be competitive in the job market. So I got in to the University of Notre Dame. I did attend Notre Dame for a certification, and I got my undergrad from Texas A&M University Corpus Christi. Go Islanders. So this will be a way for me to be marketable for a new career. I am nervous about going back to school, but I am sure I will be fine. I have thought about getting a job before and during grad school, but I'm going to continue this creative journey. With that being said, please go follow the show on YouTube. I have now added podcasts, shorts, and I'm posting videos. I'm being more creative. My goal is to hit 500 subscribers on YouTube in 1 month. As of this recording, I only have 59. So by April 1st, I hope to have at least 500. And the metrics needed to start making money on YouTube and podcast platforms like Buzzsprouts is manageable, but it definitely takes a lot of work. And the 500 subscribers would be a foundation. So let's get on with today's episode. U.S. Territory Edition, the U.S. Virgin Islands. Like always, I like to start with a little history lesson about the location we are exploring. The majority of this information is coming from Wikipedia and YouTube history channels. So, the pre-European Virgin Islands were inhabited by the Chiboney and the Awaks. And the Ciboneys are Ciboney, and the Arawaks are Arawaks. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right because it didn't allow me to do the Google Translate. So, some scholars believe that the islands were inhabited as early as 1000 BC or BCE, depending on where you are at in the world. The good old Christopher Columbus is believed to be the first European to get to the islands, but the Spanish settled the area in 1555. Later, in 1625, the English and French arrived in St. Croix. The next part of the history is like a weird game of tag between Spain, France, Great Britain, and the Netherlands. By 1733, Denmark, Norway had claimed St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix, after buying it from the French in 1733. And this was the Danish West India Company, by the way. The islands became royal Danish colonies by 1754. Now, between the years of 1733 and 1848, slave labor outnumbered the Danish by a ratio of 8 to 1. A number of slave rebellions took place, and eventually, on July 3rd, 1848, slavery was abolished by Governor Peter von Schlüten. Now, after plantations were no longer profitable, Danish settlers began to flee the islands. The islands were hit hard with hurricanes, earthquakes, and tsunamis, which further impacted the economy. The U.S. purchased the islands on January 17th, 1917. Now, why did the U.S. want the islands? During the years of World War I, the United States feared that countries like Germany would sack the island and use it as a base of naval operations. This was the whole submarine naval fear that was going on during the early 1900s. Official transfer from Danish to U.S. possession was on March 31st, 1917. And we're almost coming up to that day. It's awesome. From 1917, a massive amount of ups and downs came through this beautiful island. The Hovensa plant, located on St. Croix, was built in 1966 and shut down in 2012. And for those who don't know, that is or was a oil refinery operation. The Virgin Islands National Park was established in 1956 on St. John. Tourism at this time was starting to pick up. The Department of the Interior came in 2005. Hurricanes Bertha, George, Lenny, and Omar devastated the island in 1996, 98, 99, and 2008. And I was in North Carolina when Bertha hit, and I remember Bertha and Fran hitting hard. In 2017, Hurricane Irma hit. I know these natural disasters are going to happen, but it just sucks to think about it happening to a small set of gorgeous islands like the Virgin Islands. The island has roughly 87,146 residents. Its capital is Charlotte Amalie, Amalie, so I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. And like other U.S. territories, U.S. Virgin Islanders are U.S. citizens, but they cannot vote in presidential elections, which in my opinion is unfair, but that's just my opinion. They can only vote in primaries, and of course they can vote in their local elections. They do have a delegate to Congress, but even that person cannot vote on floor votes. From what I understand, if you are a U.S. citizen, you do not need a passport to enter or leave the U.S. Virgin Islands. So, if you want to go visit, please do. But it is highly encouraged to do so. With its rich history and amazing views, if you have the opportunity to visit this U.S. territory, or any of the U.S. territories for that matter, please go and support their tourism economy. I have been waiting for this one for a while. Not only because it is one of my favorites, but also because of the awesomeness of this cryptid. Imagine you are sailing from Florida. It doesn't matter what time period it is, but let's just say it is today. It is 2025. You are on a modern ship or boat, and you sail from Florida, past the Bahamas, staying north of Haiti, then cruising into the Dominican Republic, then Puerto Rico, then sail a little past the U.S. Virgin Islands, heading south a little past Sandy Point National Wildlife Refuge. The sun is about to set on your 12-day cruise journey. You are looking at the horizon, and you notice something odd swimming in the water. At first, you notice the long tentacles and arms of a squid, octopus, or cuttlefish. But as the creature moves, you see that the front half of it is a shark. Now, this massive 75-foot long half octopus, half shark leaps out of the water with its huge jaws towards you, attempting to bite at the first thing it sees. Well, you just discovered a Luska. The Luska itself isn't directly a U.S. Virgin Island cryptid. It encompasses the Caribbean Sea and parts of the sea called blue holes. And blue holes, if you haven't seen one in pictures, is frightening. It is basically an underwater sinkhole. The largest is in Mexico at 1,380 feet below sea level. I know there are many deep sea divers who explore these systems, and it could be majestically beautiful, but it's not for me. It brings thalassophobia vibes into it, and I am not a fan. This also goes into megalohydrothalassophobia, which is the fear of large underwater entities, and I'm still not a fan. But this could offer some explanation into what the Luska is. The Luska itself can be a large cuttlefish, giant octopus, or half shark, half octopus hybrid. It is described to be as long as 75 feet. And these types of creature, well, this type of creature, this is just the baseline. The primary type we will discuss is the hybrid, because the Luska also can be described as the large octopus or the large cuttlefish. You know what I'm saying? There are a couple of sites that indicate that the Luska can grow up to 250 feet in full adult length. Lore has it being a number of different things, the origin of it, such as evil spirits, demons, unidentified deep sea creatures, a mermaid, shapeshifters, a sea serpent type monster that evolved, or a misidentified creature of some sort. But I can see how perhaps a shark battling an octopus or vice versa, at a specific moment of their struggle, it looks like it is one complete creature. Then factor in the megalohydrothalassophobia, factor that trip in, and you can create a giant monster in your head. Now, I, for one, do think there are massive creatures yet to be seen or discovered in our oceans, and I love the concept of this creature because it is perfect evolution. It is the best of two predators. You have the sharp and powerful front half of a great white shark with the grappling and camouflage features of an octopus. There is one great sighting, quote unquote, of a Luska, but it's not the hybrid. It is the St. Augustine monster. That is a washed up to shore giant octopus in Florida that was found in the late 1800s. But we know that there are things like the giant squid out in the oceans. So is it possible that these stories stem from refracted ocean perspectives? I don't know. But this is a great segue to the rating portion of the show. I give this one a 5 out of 5. Golden Nessies. There is something about aquatic creatures that spark my interest. Even with the phobia of deep, dark oceans, and like previous episodes that explore ocean cryptids, I haven't always had these type of phobias, but either way, I love the concept of this creature because it dives, get it, into that primal fear of the unknown and the large creatures that used to lurk in the ocean waters. This thing is being described as almost 3 times as large as a megalodon, and we know that those existed. We know that, and I'm going to butcher this, Shastasaurus, we know that that creature existed, and it's a 65-foot long ichthyosaur. The picture of something like a Luska existing is, of course, unfeasible because of the difference of species. That is like saying a half sea turtle and half crab is out there somewhere in the oceans. It's just not possible. But I like the plausibility of the eyes playing tricks on a sailor in the Caribbean and seeing this enormous monster circling the boat. It's amazing. And one of my top fives. Well, okay, maybe not one of my top fives, because that's a very, very small window to break into. I would say about probably my top 10, mainly because of just the sheer, not, and I don't want to say craziness of the monster itself, because we can't imagine a half octopus, half shark coming towards you in the ocean. If you can just picture it in your head, at first you're like, that's scary, but unfeasible. It's improbable that thing could exist. So like I was saying, it's plausible that sailors out in the hot sun fishing all day, and they're in the middle of the Caribbean, or Caribbean, however you want to pronounce it, and they see this shark and octopus swimming next to each other, or they see them battling each other, and your eyes just start to playing tricks, and you think that is one complete monster. I get it. But I just love the image of it. The pictures are phenomenal. There's some great artists out there who have depictions of the Luska, and probably one of my favorites is of a Luska, and the shark is, I think, biting the top of a mast of a ship, and the tentacles are wrapped around the other side. It's so cool looking. Something straight out of a Lovecraftian book, actually. You know what I'm saying? It's like the dark ones, deep ones. It's fun, and I enjoy the Luska, and that's why I gave it a 5 out of 5. So, like always, thank you all for listening to this episode of 50 States of Terror, and I'll leave you today with a piece of Ziggy's wisdom. When in doubt, open a book. Then another, then another. Then find one that challenges them all, then another, then another. Rinse and repeat. Later, y'all. This has been an episode of 50 States of Terror, brought to you by your host, Anthony Diaz. You can find the show on Facebook and Instagram at 50 States of Terror. On Twitter, you can find the show at 50 States Terror, without the of, because of the character limitations. You can also find the show on TikTok, 50 SOT Podcast. Email at the50sot@gmail.com. That's the 50SOT@gmail.com. And of course, if you want to support the show, please, you may at patreon.com/50 States of Terror. Thank you, and happy hunting. Later.